so I don't have a lot for you today, but I thought I would go through a couple updates and a couple things I found from the track on Saturday. So towards the end there, we started losing boost, and I couldn't figure out why. I had my suspicions on the couplers, and that ended up being what the problem was. So this coupler here, the alignment. So when I built this, the cold side, I didn't get the alignment perfect. And I was thinking, well, it doesn't need to be perfect because there is a lot of play in those couplers, but it kind of cocked sideways and kind of made a space for one of the O-rings to come kind of not loose, but kind of made a gap for it, I guess you could say. Yeah, so what I did is I went ahead and just put some compressed air on this fitting here, and blocked off. I kind of just tied a bag around this, a Ziploc bag, and zip tied it so kind of to seal it, and threw some compressed air on it. And what I found is that this coupler here was leaking like crazy. I mean, just blowing like, as fast as I was blowing the air in, it was coming out of that coupler. So I went ahead and, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I basically had to cut a section out of the intercooler pipe, okay, and separate it. And then I added like a sliver of aluminum, kind of like this here, okay, kind of like a spacer. So basically I cut it and I cut a pie to fit in there, and then I welded it so that it basically kicked the alignment more straight, okay. Before it was I think it was this way a little bit. And I've never done this before, so I didn't know that it had to be pretty close. Maybe with a better coupler, it would be easier to do, you know, not have it perfectly aligned, but it is much better now, and now it holds air all the time. So we got that fixed, and I went ahead and tested the two-step, and the boost came back to where it should be. So all that's good. But I mean, overall, I am happy with the way it ran on Saturday. It was, I mean, a 6.0, and I'm sure it had a boost leak then too. But I mean, you know, those are things you run into. So I think I got it fixed. Like I said, you know, I cut that little section out and just kind of had to, I don't know if you can tell, but I had to move it this way, you know, to kind of kick it back this way. And I did go buy some new O-rings too. There's a place not far from me that sells O-rings, and I went and got a whole assortment of different O-rings. And so I have a whole bunch that I was testing, and I found they're really cheap. They're like 65 cents a piece. And so I bought a bunch of them just to see what fit really good, you know? So I found some O-rings that fit really good, and I think we should be good to go. But we won't know, like I said, until we get under full boost and we take it to the track again. You know, I can only get it up so high on the two-step. So we'll see how it goes. And so yeah, I mean, other than that, pretty happy the way it ran. So a little update on the white car. Actually, let's go out there first before I show you all the motor. I've been doing a lot of wiring on the white car, basically putting all of the stock wiring back in, okay, to basically all the chassis wiring. So I'm in the white car right now, and I just wanted to show you all where I'm at on that. I got most, 90% of the chassis wiring done. I went ahead and took it all apart, rewrapped a lot of the wiring with electrical tape and some cloth tape I had, and basically just mapped everything out of where it needs to go, okay? Got the radio harness here. All this is hooked up for the AC. And yeah, all the plugs that go into the column, got all those hooked up. I won't be using this one here, which is the airbag deal. I'm not going to put airbags back on this. I went ahead and deleted all that. So most of the wiring that has to do with the airbag, I stripped out of the harness. So there's like a blue box. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's a blue box that goes back here behind the radio. That's pretty much dedicated to the airbag system. So I don't have any sensors anymore, and So I figured just get rid of the wires and it's just less, less complicated. So yeah, everything is basically hooked up with that. Got the harness back here for the fuel tank, the fuel pump, and the fuel level sending unit. What else? This is for the dash, although at this point, I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing as far as EFI or maybe even carburetor. I don't know. But you basically can't get the Holley Terminator X right now for probably until next year. So I went ahead and canceled my order. I called them up and I was like, just be honest with me. What's your honest assessment? So the honest assessment on that was, the lady told me that there's 660 units back ordered, and she said they get a shipment in like once a month, and sometimes they'll get in like 40 or 50 units to ship out, and sometimes they'll get in like 150 to 200 units. So if you do the math, I mean, that's just to get to 600, you're looking at 4 months, if they get in 200 a month, it'll be 3 months before they can even get to the backlog. So we're looking at least the beginning of the year, which I don't want to wait that long. I thought of trying to do the putting the SN95 harness in here and the ECU and all that, but I don't know. That's going to be really complicated because the 95 ECUs actually control the air conditioner. They control the airbag system. They control a lot of stuff like ABS. I don't really know everything that goes on with that. There's a lot more features on the 95 ECU. So I don't know if I want to get involved in that and trying to cut up that harness to make it work in here. Okay. So my other option is to do a carb, just do like a basic vacuum secondary with like an electric choke and just make it very street friendly, a small carb. I thought of doing that, and that'll help like piss off the haters that say you shouldn't go carburetor and you're going backwards and all that. So that would be kind of cool to piss them off. I'm just doing more research to make sure it's really streetable. I mean, I know it would work. It's just I don't know if I want to spend the money to do that and then find out later on, that I'd rather have the drivability of EFI. So I don't know. I even thought of doing maybe like ECU Master, and that's a pretty cheap system, and making that work. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an update and show you where I'm at on this car. I'm just kind of at a crossroads right now, what I want to do as far as, the induction and all that. So I pretty much, the short block is pretty much all ready to go. I went ahead and put the heads on. I did want to note one thing about, if you ever plan on putting an Anderson cam, okay, with stock rockers, okay, you got to get longer push rods. The push rods are just a hair short. So I have where's it at? I have a push rod length checker here somewhere. Yeah, so I have this adjustable push rod length checker. And so using the stock push rods, which are 6.24 or 6.26 inches long, where do I have one? Yeah, I actually bought a new set. So now I have a new set of push rods that I can't use, but they were only 30 bucks. They're not that expensive. So this is the push rod that I bought. These are just basically chromoly replacement push rods, 6.24 or 6.25 inches long. So what happened was I wasn't getting the preload on that Anderson calls for. So they call for like a 3/4 of a turn after it hits 0 lash. So on a hydraulic roller, you got to have, once you hit 0 lash, you have to preload it. That's the way the hydraulic works. It keeps it nice in a quiet valve train. So I wasn't getting hardly any preload at all. I mean, it was just barely preloading it, maybe like an eighth of a turn. So that wasn't enough. So I went with a 6.3 inch push rod, which is going to give me, I use the this push rod length checker, and With a 6.3 inch rod, it gives me 3/4 of a turn to 1 turn of preload. So that should be just perfect, okay? So just keep that in mind if you're gonna using stock stamped steel rockers, you know, with an Anderson cam. Now, I'm not saying that that's gonna be, you know, exactly what would be on your build, because, for instance, I don't know if these heads have ever been shaved down. I don't know if the deck has been shaved down. I don't know these things, because this deck, okay, or this motor here was a remanufactured motor. So it's very, very possible that it was, you know, decked. The heads were decked and the block was decked. I don't know. So that would change the length of push rod you need. So I'm just telling you guys this for what I'm going through right now with this, and it might help you in the future if you're not getting the preload you need. Okay, so that's where we are with that, with the valve train deal. I did get the timing set put on, went ahead and did that. Just basically, I did 0 dot to dot, pretty simple. You put the number 1 cylinder at top dead center, and you basically go dot to dot. It's really simple, not that big of a deal. I'm not gonna degree the camera or anything like that. This is the way I've done it in the past. It's very simple, and you just, you know, install it that way. I just ordered this just came in. This is from LMR, one of their timing covers. I forget who makes this one. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, that's gonna go here, obviously. And so yeah, that'll be the next thing I need to do. We can do that, and then I need to pull off the oil pan and the pickup tube off of that motor, okay? Because we're gonna be using that oil pan and that pickup. And then we can put the oil pump on, which I have over here, this brand new oil pump, that can go on. And we can basically get the whole bottom and front end buttoned up, okay? So, and like I said, I have a box of stuff over here. This is all off the 95. So I don't know all what I'm gonna be using. Like I told you, I'm not 100% sure. This is the 95 ECU. It's got the TFI module remote mounted. And honestly, there's so many different plugs here that just aren't used, okay? And I'm gonna have to go through and really, like, look, I mean, you can see where the whatever was eating it. A lot of wires are damaged in this harness. So if I do plan on doing that, this is gonna be a lot of work to fix that, which I don't mind if I can figure it out. That would save me quite a bit of money. And, you know, since you can't get the Terminator X right now, it might be an option. Or like I said, go with the carb. So I did go to a swap meet, let's see, last week or 2 weeks ago, and I found a set of Mac shorty headers, okay? These are just pretty basic headers that, you know, old school stuff. I got these for 25 bucks. It was a really, really good deal, I thought. And what's funny is that I was actually doing some research on headers for the P heads, and a lot of people were saying that the Mac headers actually fit without too many clearance issues. You know, you got to use like 90-degree boots on the spark plugs anyway, but I heard that these work pretty good, and it was so weird. I found them as soon as I walked into the swap meet. There they were, 25 bucks. So yeah, I mean, I already kind of looked at them, and they do line up perfect, okay? All the holes are lined up, and it seems like if you look at the spark plugs, I don't see how there would be too much of a clearance issue with the boots. I don't know. I mean, they look good to me. It looks like I can easily get the boots on there and not really be a problem. So, oh yeah, and I did have a set of ARP head studs that I had from a long time ago that I was able to reuse. So these are all ARP fasteners, so that's a good deal. Oh yeah, and one other thing I forgot to mention. I know we were talking about in a couple of videos ago about the suspension of the 95 suspension compared to 93, okay? And The one thing that I was a little unsure of was the sway bar, okay? So the sway bar, out of a 95, I think this video is really dark. The sway bar out of a 95 will fit in a 93, but you have to actually relocate, okay, the bracket holes. So it does fit, but the holes it normally goes in, I had to move them back and to the side a little bit. So as you can see, like a little bit of an angle this way and back. So I just put 2 new holes here and here, and it bolted right up. And you can see it lines up perfect with the sway bar mount, or the mounts that go on the A-arms. So yeah, I need to put the nuts and everything on it. I don't have it completely hooked up yet, as you can see. I'm thinking of, I have some new of these, I don't know what you call this bar here. I have a new set of those that I'm going to switch these out. But other than that, yeah, it does fit. It moves this bracket over a little bit, so it's a little bit of a tight deal. I mean, if I wouldn't have done that, I would have had to mount it like in this area, which, I don't know, it would have been kind of hard to get a bolt in there. I would have had to weld something on there. So this works, and actually the bar moves really nice. So yeah, I think it's just basically that the 95s are a little bit wider, okay? So when they make the bar slightly wider, and also it mounts to up under the frame rail here and here. So I basically just moved it over to here and here, okay? And I'm not 100% sure, but I think these arms are a little longer as well. But either way, it doesn't matter. We got it to work, and we're gonna be using these struts. I'm gonna take these Ibach Pro damper struts off there, the springs, basically all that's coming over to this car. So that's pretty much gonna do it for this video, guys. The next video, hopefully we'll be doing we'll be figuring out what induction we're gonna use and kind of installing that, and we can pretty much get it put in the car once I get all that put on there and getting close to starting it up. So that'll be cool. I'm ready to drive it. I've been wanting to drive that for a while, and it's been sitting for quite a bit since this car has been under construction. So anyway, guys, that's gonna do it. Check you all next time.